Hello and welcome to Warblog. Today we're looking at the invasion of Goa, which is interesting, sort of for a number of reasons, in the sense that I called it the invasion of Goa. I'm just trying to get the Wikipedia thing here, it's also it's titled the annexation of Goa, but it also says, depending on the view, this action is also referred to as the liberation of Goa or the invasion of Goa. I've opted for the invasion of Goa, not for any particular reason, but it was an invasion. It seems, there are some questions. Some people have asked, why didn't the UN get involved? It was a Portuguese state, so now obviously it was a colony, and so we understand all that. But I've just called it the invasion of Goa because they invade, and it wasn't as though that they had just invaded like in Kuwait and then they liberated from an invading army. I mean, they've been there for hundreds of years. And so I've called it that, but again, there's no particular emphasis on that. I mean, it gives you the option on Wikipedia. I mean, Wikipedia calls it the annexation of Goa. There's a few other parts of it that make it interesting, but that's sort of, I'm not doing this. For example, there's some islands, and it's a very complex thing. I thought, when I looked at it, I thought, I'll do that, and it doesn't look very difficult, but it's very complicated to understand sort of what is happening. How many, I haven't even put all of the boats in. I'm not going to. I haven't really even counted the Indian infantry. But they take 2 days to do this, and essentially, the situation had been, boiling up over time. Dating back to 1947 when India became independent, or the British Empire, and there was sort of growing resistance to Portuguese rule, and there was tensions, and I'm just going through the article here, but there's the annexation of Dadra and Nagar Haveli, which were prior to Goa. And then there's a military build-up. And Portugal had about, I don't know how many, I think it had about 500 troops in Goa, and they were advised, the military advisors, stated that they couldn't defend, but what Portugal wanted to do was to sort of defend as best they could, to delay the Indian invasion, and then to appeal to the international community, in regards to the hostile action of the Indian army. And this is an objective mainly because it gets mentioned, but to be quite honest, not really. These are the main two objectives. I haven't really felt. I don't feel confident with the map. It's taken a long time to do, and there's lots of sort of question marks over sort of actually what happened. It's been a difficult one to do, really, but still, it's enough to get started with the thinking. One thing that sort of threw me a little bit, and that's essentially the order of battle to some extent. I mean, it says that they use the 17th Division. But it doesn't really say what the division contains, and then it sort of puts a lot of emphasis on, let me just try and get this, a lot of emphasis on 50th Para Brigade, and another thrust was made by the 63rd Infantry Division from the east, also a deceptive strike from the south, but it doesn't actually say what the 17th Division do, but it does say that the 50th Para Brigade support, although the Indian 50th Para Brigade was charged with merely assisting the main thrust conducted by the 17th Infantry, its units moved rapidly across minefields, roadblocks, 4 riverine obstacles to be the first to reach Panaji, which is basically there. So it's sort of like, well, and also when you look at the, and again I don't know, but the 17th Division, because it's a division, I put them in as regiments. They're a lot stronger. So there's 4 of them. Well, there's 4 of them there. There's 2 of them there. They're all in different locations, coming on at different times. And then you've got the artillery. Oh, that's right. They're there because they come on turn 3. That's what's threw me. But there's basically 6 regiments in that division. And you've got the artillery. You've got some small armoured companies. It doesn't really say, what sort of strength, of armour they had. I mean, there's no armour for the Portuguese because it doesn't say they had any. Although there are sort of references to India bombing, particular locations because they were told where the Portuguese heavy tanks were. Whereas, well, they only had about 5,000 troops. They basically, I read it, they had eight companies. I mean, what we don't have here are the police force. They had about 1,000 police force, which would be about 5 companies worth, but I haven't put them in. I've sort of upped that with the land for these motorised reconnaissance companies, which, are mentioned, but reconnaissance, they're not really, they've been, calling them companies is a bit of an exaggeration, but, so what I'm saying is the order of battle is not perfect, but one thing that does interest me is the Portuguese air units. Now, they didn't really have much of an air force, but they did have some planes, and they did have some sort of air power. A lot of it was freight and cargo, and one of the interesting things about all of that was let's see if I can find it. I mean, basically they prepared to order in something like 16,000 anti-tank systems. I think like rocket launchers or something. Let me see if I can find that. Let me just have another little bash on. Yeah, essentially on the 16th of December it says the Portuguese Air Force was placed on alert to transport 10 tons of anti-tank grenades in 2 DC-6 aircraft from Montijo Air Base in Portugal to Goa to assist in its defence. However, when the invasion came, they were not allowed to stop over in Pakistan because Pakistan denied them passage. And it goes on. So the mission was passed on to the civilian airline TAP, which offered a Lockheed Constellation on charter for the job. However, when permission to transport the weapons through Karachi was denied by the Pakistan government, the Lockheed Constellation landed in Goa on the 17th of December with a consignment of a half-dozen bags of sausages as food supplies instead of the intended hand grenades. It says, however, the aircraft arrived with a contingent of female paratroopers to assist in the evacuation of Portuguese civilians. So it's interesting that I mean, arriving with half a dozen bags of sausages instead of 10 tons of anti-tank grenades must have been I'm not laughing, So that's a bit of the background. I mean, it's obviously it's interesting as it's historical. So the thing that actually got me as well, and I can do this from here, is that in this we do actually have let's put this in here. We have a situation where we have air superiority. So I'm going to run these Hawker Hunters as air superiority, and everything else is going to be ground support. Now there is some air power, so we'll see how that works when we get to the Portuguese turn. I'm going to do the air power first. I mean, it's going to be a walkover, and the hardest thing I think to demonstrate or portray is the feint here. I mean, what we're supposed to do, so just I can go just sort of march through like that. Alerting all these units to coming down here. I mean, you can't do a feint in this hex encounter environment. but that happens. So here we've got obviously a main thrust from here. Before we do that, let's just put in a bit of air power. .5. So he's got some defences in there. That shouldn't really be a hexagonal, it's wrong, but let's see. I hope I'm not going to be sort of, at least try and think about it. So we've got 5 in defence, so that's 15. It's going to be worth about 30, 16. So it's going to be like a 1-to-1. 1-to-2. How did I mess that up so badly? Maybe I shouldn't have done it like that. So I tend not to think like that, but there's a heavy sort of entrenchment there. And I think basically the reason I got knocked down was because I was attacking into these barbed wire defences, which I think knocked me down significantly. So there's, bearing that in mind, it's sort of, well, I should have thought of that first. I mean, they've all now got 2 depressions, so this whole eastern attack has been repulsed. Now, I could have been a little more forward thinking in how I did that by getting the surround, which would give me a plus 20%, which might have helped. But also, I've got artillery, so over here, I've got artillery here and here. It doesn't come on straight away though. So, and here we're going across a river. So let's see what we can actually do. Well, I'm going to go this way. Effect 0.45 damage. Okay, let's put all the air power on this. It should be about 1.15. Not a lot. So what I'm actually going to do here is an attrition. Unsuccessful. Okay. 0.05. 2.4, that was better. But I'm still going to do an attrition. Two, that's good. 4.45. some artillery onto this. No effect. No effect. Okay, so that's the first turn. It's a bit disappointing. I just didn't really think of the odds. I didn't really calculate them. I mean, I could maybe go back and change all the Portuguese infantry to 3-3s. I gave them 4-5s because there's so few of them. I wanted to give them a bit of an edge. But the difference between, you know, that sort of company, a high strength company, and what I would say a regular company, because generally speaking, I generally give companies 3-3, and then obviously the 3 for movement. You know, if it's a weak company, I'd give it a 2 or maybe a 1. To give it a 4-5 is really pushing it up, but obviously in the jungle and the this fortification hex, and with the combined effect of minefields and barbed wire, it's really tough. There's one little company is really holding out, and you know, pushing them like that. I mean, that's just, you know, it's sort of. Well, maybe I should actually go back and do that. And one of the reasons I do these videos is so I can actually think about that and actually see how it balances out. However, it's now the Portuguese turn. So they sort of figured out, now they've got to do something about this unit. But what? Right, end turn. Okay, so now they've got their plane. I don't know what FAP stands for, but maybe I should remove that. But now, they basically can't really do anything with it unless, if they do, they will get these 2 units as defensive fire. So they can still actually do things, but it's the question now of, you know, do I want to, how do I treat air superiority? Now, I don't really get air superiority that often. And we've obviously committed these 2 units to that to stop them from actually taking off. And they're not going to take off because they're going to get, well, you know, I run a risk of being shot by these. So I'm not going to do that. And I'm sort of role-playing a bit there because basically all they do is factor up as numbers, and those numbers are very similar to anti-aircraft. And there's no anti-aircraft there, but they will always appear as sort of like anti-aircraft, and they'll be factors of, I think it's like 15, so there'll be a 30% chance that I will get attacked, I think. I will get shot down or aborted or go in at half strength because of these units, which is not particularly high. It might be more than that, it might be 60%, I don't know, I can't remember what the numbers are. But you know, I'm going to assume that the Indians have got a very clear air superiority, which will sort of demonstrate there and not actually use them. And so the defence is going really well. But the thing is, obviously, once they move out of these hexes, they're going to be a little weaker. And what I'm going to do first, and this is sort of difficult, really. So I want to blow some bridges up, but I've only got this engineering unit and it's so far from anywhere. And for example, there's not a river hex. I mean, I could blow that bridge up now, and all these units would have to fight around this way. I'm going to blow that bridge up now. Let's see, I've not used this for so long, I'm not even sure I know how it works. That's because he's not available. I can put him in as available. He needs to be available, so that's a pain. Okay. Recon moves a lot faster. Okay, so we know where the main assault is coming from. So can we put this artillery a little closer to something where it might be able to... Whoops, it stopped because it's gone through that. We'll leave him there. Okay, we're in a minefield, so I don't want to do that. Do I move him into there? There's a minefield in there, so that's going to be a pain. I don't think I'm going to pull back. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is, so at the end of that turn. So now we've got India. We're going to leave these into, and they do have to pay for air superiority, but it's half a factor. So you see they've got 49.5. So, you know, they can outlast the Portuguese, so to speak, or they can't really. I mean, if it takes 100 turns, the Portuguese will have air superiority, but it's not going to take that long. What I'm going to do here, I'm delaying this now. I mean, we've got 2 turns to recover all of that, and that's what I'm going to do. I've got to come across this bridge. I mean, there's no way I can... No, I can't move across there. However, where did we do some significant damage? Was it here? Right. There. Right. This is good. I'm going to really focus on taking this one here. So let's do some artillery. 1.6. So we're having a lot of luck there. 0.9. 0.8. 2.3. I mean, you should be doing morale checks now. Okay. I'm not going to waste any air power. In fact, I shouldn't use all that artillery really. Seven to 1 DE. So that's the way to do it. I'm going to have to go around because all of this is all mined. If I had some engineers, I could go in there and take the mines out. So maybe I should give the Indians some engineers as well. Here, he's fired. Can't do that. But well, before I do this, I'm going to apply some air power on this. Three 5. 0.05. 0.1. That was just all round rubbish. 0.5 factor. But what we're going to do is what seemed to work last time. I could do a siege on this, but that is blocking the siege from working. But I could do an attrition. Unsuccessful. Here is a problem. Okay, so what's his depression? 0.15. Artillery. 0.9, that's nice. 0.8. So let's send all this stuff in. Attrition. Nothing. I'm not going to attack that because it's going to be across river as well. You know, it's a bridge hex. It's going to be at 25%. It's just stupid. You need to sort of get a bit more in there. But this is now opened up. Now, obviously, I can't really go through that without stopping and going through minefields. I might as well just go through the jungle. But that's obviously a breakthrough now. So the Portuguese are going to have to respond to that. How they do that is going to be interesting. I think they're clearly demonstrating they want to go down here, but do we give that up and retreat to here or here, and then just allow them to come through here, or what? So they're recovering, and they're going to continue. Why does that keep happening? Is this something? It might be my mouse, I don't know. It keeps on dragging things. Anyway, end that turn. So as you can see now, there's some elements of the 17th Division coming on. See, do they want to? They can't really afford to go back into there. Well, we can at least afford to do some attrition against them. .6. So the Portuguese score first blood, although they scored something over there on an attack of retreat. So that could be interesting. See how this sort of war of attrition down here goes. Now again, we've got this option of sort of moving these people back somehow, but I really don't want to lose these defensive features yet. I mean, I haven't broken through there yet. This is all river, so it's quite difficult. They've obviously broken through here, so we have to somehow defend that, and there's probably only this unit to do that with. Now if I move them into there, they're just going to get tronched, but they still have to fight their way through. Let's just see what happens there. We can maybe move this unit up to give some support. And so they can just sort of sit there. We can eventually just whittle all the way around. There are no major rivers here. Are the engineers actually now available? Yes, they're available. I should adjust that. We can destroy that bridge. And it's gone. It's all a bit rough and ready, that coding there, but so it's going to take 6 turns to recover and destroy any other bridges, but that sort of means now that, let's get a little map tool out, that this is the only real way, and across these 2 bridges, you know, so that line of defence there, or at least that, these 3 hexes are key to the whole defence of Panaji. So we really want to start taking these bridges out and forming a defence, or there might be some other rivers there that could have been significant. Well, I don't want to do anything else. I think that's it. So it's now back to the Indians. And these should be now 1. So they're holding their ground. They're holding their ground. There's no bridge there now, but do we know? We don't really know, do we? But depression 0. It's got depression 0.85. Let's see if we can put this artillery onto that. No effect. 1.3. No effect. 1.8, that's good. So we've got now 3.95. So if we apply our air power into there, .25, no effect. 0.4, that was disappointing. But they're at 4.6, so we can do some attrition. Unsuccessful. We had 2 attrition on this one, which is quite nice. 0.05. No effect. And let's try some attrition. Unsuccessful. So we've got one breakthrough. We've got these regiments coming through here now. Well, they should recover next turn. Here, we're not going to do anything because it's just a feint. But we're taking up 2 units, so that's reasonable. Very slow up here, but once they're gone, once the defences are gone, they're gone. So how historically accurate it is, I don't know. Or how much sense that makes, I don't know. But as you can see, we've now got the 17th Division coming in proper. So what do they do? What do the Portuguese do? I mean, they're still holding there. I think we want to move. I mean, there's no point in blowing these bridges, but I think we want to definitely move the engineers somewhere. Now there's no bridge there. These infantry are not necessarily required there, so we can move them along as well. We might be able to get some of this artillery onto that. Yep. So let's do that. 0.0555 or whatever. Okay. And that's right, we moved him, but didn't move him again. Oh, look at that. Well, that's something we didn't try. Very pointless, but attrition. Unsuccessful. A surprise. So they're only going to be able to move one anyway. So I think I'm going to move him back behind this bridge. Force him at least to come around this way, and it's slowed down there. So, and some attrition down here. Nothing. They probably recovered. Okay. So the Indians now have some serious numbers on their side. Well, I don't think we can afford I'm very much into sort of recovering units when they get depressed. And these are all recovered, so we're back to where we were. Three. 1, so 1.3. Let's use the air power here. Point 2. 0.35. So that's bitty numbers. No effect, it's even bittier. Okay, well we're back into action. And he's at 1.85, so I'm not going to do an attack, but I'm going to do an attrition. Point 2. Okay. Well, use our artillery over here. Oh, that was good. 3.05. .6. We're checking for routes now. 2.1. Okay, we'll come back to that because we could possibly. Which movement we've got there? 3. We kept them on the road. We could move them in for this assault. Okay. Well, I'm really loath to move this unit because he's got 2.7 now. I don't want to sort of, although he might get attacked with the artillery again. Speed is a little bit of the essence. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this unit. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh well. So what have we got over here? Point 6. 2 lots of artillery. Where's that? Like that. Oh no, that's the artillery from the other side. There's a bit of a. It's not picking up all the artillery properly. Should have 4, yeah, so we've used that 1 now. Did we get, what did we get? 3 down, oh that was good. 3, 7.6. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm not really going to bother with numbers because I'm pretty sure they must be more in my favour. And we've got all these units here, so I'm basically going to storm across this bridge against this very hammered unit and see what happens. 2 to 1 and an exchange. Wow. He's at 7.75, but we're not going across any bridges here. do I want to do it? No, I've got some regiments coming up, so I'll just do an attrition this turn. No effect. I really don't want to be embarrassed again, but having an attack and retreat or something stupid like that. So that's everything moved. We've got this, so let's at least have some success. DE. And we've got the option here I should have thought of that earlier. I'm not going to do an attack, so it will be 2 to 1 probably. Maybe a 1 to 1. But some attrition won't do any harm. Okay, so end that turn. Right, the Portuguese. Do they really want to hold on there another turn? Or do they want to swap around? It's a bit odd. I'm not happy with that, but I've got damage going into my own minefield. He's now going to .9. Well, I swapped. I'm not sure I should keep the minefields in these hexes. I put them in there. I mean, they didn't actually even have any mines. It gives them they've got a formidable defensive arrangement here. That's interesting. It's now gone to 0.9. That's wrong. That's an error. I'm going to have to actually do something about that. The minefield is now... oh, I'm going to have to sort that out. One of the reasons to do these videos is to pick up on things like that, but if you look, instead of his depression being adjusted, it's been replaced by that mine factor. So that obviously has to be cleared up. I'm not going to do it now, though. So that's that. I'm just going to sit there. It's going to sit there. We're going to move. These units here. Let's see what we can do against this armoured unit again, which is trying to recover 1.6. It should have moved out of artillery range. 1. I mean, if we carry on doing that, he's going to have to start doing morale checks, so he should really move. So that's that. Down here we'll try an attrition. Well, we've got 0.2, so it's not bad. Now I might make this the last turn. Now they've got to start doing all that hard work again. I could have moved around there, but right. These units are going to move into there. What's his morale? 6.7. Let's put the artillery in there. Okay, it's 9.5. I should maybe save the rest of the artillery. I don't know what it's in range of. And then just commit this assault. This can't be These numbers have got to be good. He got a DR, which is my crappy die roll, but he routed. So there you go, it's starting to get there. And he's the one with the movement. Move him there, 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 there. So the defensive lines are starting to peel away. Oh, that was nice. 2. So we're making up for all that lost time. Air power as well, let's see what that can do. No effect. .45. No effect. Okay. Oh, got some artillery. Okay, and some attrition. 0.4. 1.4, 0.4. So these both can recover if they don't move. And what have we got here? Just attrition. This is morale. This is depression. 2. Oh, that's good. I could sort of almost just squidge them around those, but I really want to sort of fight my way through. Okay, so I'm just going to move back. Zone of control. I don't want to give up those 2 hexes yet. What about here? Artillery. Hmm. 1.2. All that armour is taking a pounding. Less than 10 minutes to go. I'll speed it up. I'm not going to do much else. There's not really much scope for movement for the Portuguese. I'm not sure whether these other artillery are actually legitimately in range. I'll have to look that up as well. So we're picking up a lot of errors in this game. 9.95. Okay. I'm not going to get much better than that. A DR. Well, at least we've got the DR. 4 to 1. 11 versus 2.25. Wow, the numbers. I've got a DR. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these minefields. Just simply because they're not making any sense in this context of this scenario to me. Well, we're going to have to recover as well now from all of that. Point 2, that's easy. Point 2, another easy one. Point 2, another easy. I can recover from all that mine damage, but so we've now taken that. I'm going to pull its armour back to recover. He's used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that. That's where he was. He was actually in range. Didn't feel like it. Okay, so we've at least got something we can go against this unit with. D 7 to 1. Bit of luck. Air power. Mm, 2.1, 2.9, 1.3. I don't want to attack them. Oh, look at some armour, artillery. Let's see what we can do with that. 1.6. All helps. 2.4. Okay, well, let's put him in under attrition. Okay. Well, next turn we'll have a big old force against them. Probably have to bring them round this way though. And here. Oh, one thing I'm going to do here. Let's see what the siege gives me. .5. Okay, last round. Portuguese, what are they going to do? Well, they've now lost this. They've now lost that, so we're going to have to do something here. That'll block that advance. Here, I think we're going to have to move back a bit, possibly. Should we stay there? We're dug in, not entrenched, but dug in. This is still relatively good order. He's going to have to stay there. I'm not going to do that. So, sometimes these artillery things work. Yeah. I'll have to redo that, figure it out properly at some point. 3.5. Okay, so we've done some fair amount of damage with the artillery on these units. So it's not the walkthrough that history made it. I'm not going to go any further. I mean, obviously, I think now that we've broken these defensive lines everywhere apart from there, it's just going to be a walkover. They've blown this bridge, which is going to make it difficult having to come around here. We've got a defensive line across here. You know, I think in this case the Portuguese have done well, but obviously we picked up a few errors there, which I'm going to have to deal with. I'm going to take the mines out because they just don't work, I don't think. I might also reduce some of these units down to 3-3s. But I think it's an interesting struggle, really, an interesting situation. It's a shame that there isn't really a sort of like the complete and full possibility to, you know, really cut off all the roads through here. And I think one of the reasons that I've just left them with the one engineering unit, and we've only got 2 more turns so they can knock another bridge out. But one of the things with that is that you do get a little bit of a sense of frustration that if you had more engineering units, you could blow more bridges up, which was a problem they had. Or the problem they had, they didn't have enough mines. So yeah, that's that. Only a few minutes left, so I don't want to go over an hour for YouTube. So I hope you enjoy that, and if you feel you can do better, then sign up and give it a whirl. I'll speak to you later. Cheers, bye.